I'm in my 40s and I've been masking for my whole life. And it's only recently that I've really understood who I've become and who I am and who I've always been, and learnt to become comfortable with that and removing the mask. Um, I think people who knew me 20, 30 years ago would no way say that I was autistic. They would say that I was the life and soul of the party. They would say that I could hold court with the best of them. And they'd be right, because I've been very good at masking all my life. As a kid, I was very insecure, was very bossy, but that's because I wanted to push myself forward because I didn't know how else to be. So I was a little bit bull in a china shop, but I was terribly insecure. I wanted all the spotlight on me, but I also really didn't either. And it was really confusing place to be. So I would be very introverted and into my own things and into my own ways. And although I did have friends, I didn't have a wide range of friends. I had a couple of good friends, and that was it. And even with them, I would hide how I truly felt a lot of the time. And then into my 20s, late teens and 20s, well, that became just a bit of a disaster, if I'm honest. I had poor role models, and I was taught both verbally and non-verbally that really the way to get ahead in life was to get a man, a sexy, rich, good-looking man. And as long as you were desirable and liked by men, then everything would be fine in your life. And that was the ultimate goal. So that's pretty dangerous for a young woman. So I would get myself in real uncomfortable, dangerous situations. I can't ever say that I was abused sexually, but I was certainly in positions that I didn't want to be in. And although I technically consented, I would be dying inside, and sometimes outwardly crying. And it felt dirty and wrong, and I couldn't quite understand why it felt that way, because I was meant to want this. I was meant to want to be wanted, want to be desired. This ultimately was the goal, right? But it never felt right. It felt awful, and it left me with a lot of trauma surrounding intimacy, and it was just all very wrong. And it wasn't until I met my husband, my second husband, my current husband. I got married in my early 20s again, so desperate to find this perfect family, this perfect unit that I thought was what I was meant to have, and didn't realise that I didn't need to have that in my early 20s. I didn't need to have it at all if I didn't want it. But yeah, it wasn't until I met my current husband and he fell in love with me. And it was really interesting because he fell in love with the person behind the mask, the real me. And then, of course, in the early days, the mask would reappear very often, because it was what I was so used to. I was so comfortable behind this mask that I couldn't truly 100% let him in. And when I did have the mask on, it would cause our relationship big problems because he didn't like this person. And I don't blame him. I don't think I would have liked her either. But it was what I knew. So it was the mask I hid behind. And it took a lot of talking, a lot of crying, a lot of years to fully drop the mask and to truly be my true self. And now I can wholeheartedly say I never, ever, ever mask around my husband or my son. I would say that I 90% of the time don't mask outside either. And this has made me a much happier person, obviously. It's been quite a lonely place because a lot of the people who liked the masked me over the years don't feel comfortable with the unmasked version or the real version of me. So it really is just myself and my husband, because my support system has pretty much vanished over the years. So yeah, it can be lonely and challenging, but ultimately it is what needs to happen, and I couldn't keep that facade up any longer. It was making me ill. It was making me come across ultimately as a person I really didn't like. And now, having realised that and taken a step back, and I cringe sometimes when I look at photos, and I still have one friend who I've known since I was 5, and you know, I cringe at the person that she used to know, because it's just embarrassing, if I'm honest. There's a tape, a VHS of me somewhere of my 21st birthday party that we can't find, and I'm actually quite glad, because my husband's never seen it, and I think it would be really, really embarrassing to see me as a 21-year-old masking all the time at a birthday party. I mean, goodness me. Yeah, anyway. So although it's been really difficult, it's been dangerous, it's been confusing, it's been upsetting, it's been traumatic to have my life behind the mask, I want this to be a positive video, because I want it to show that you can show someone the real you, and you should show someone the real you. If someone really loves you, they will stick around, and if they don't, they weren't worth it in the first place. Like I said, it took my husband in the early days, it took us a lot of turmoil, of talking, of working out what was going on, and it took time, and eventually, we've been together 13 years now, married for 9. It's worked out, and it's worked out brilliantly. So just stick at it. Talk, communication is the key. Be yourself, and just let it all out, weirdness and all. And if they're really truly for you, then you know it will all work out. But ultimately, it's about you, and as long as you'll feel happy in yourself, then that's all that matters. I'd love to know your masking journeys, your masking stories. If you've got anything to share, please leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.